Happy Friday, North Texas. I'm Scott, and today is Friday, March 13th, our second Friday 13th of the year, guys. Not sure how often that happens, but let's all just put out good vibes today, gang. In honor of UNT's annual Service Awards ceremony coming up next week, we're talking to someone who's celebrating 45 years of service at UNT. But first, we've got some news to know for our UNT community. The final days for graduating UNT students to purchase a class ring for it to arrive in time for the UNT ring ceremony and Eagle Ring Dive are coming up next week, March 16th through 19th. Celebrate your academic accomplishments and your lifelong connection to the Mean Green family with your special ring. Visit the link in the show notes to learn more. It's not too late to support the Warm Feet, Warm Hearts sock drive for veterans. The drive has a goal of collecting 5,000 pairs of socks this year, which will be donated to the Michael E. DeBakey VA Medical Center in Houston. Check the show notes for a list of locations where you can donate to the drive through March 31st. Tickets are now available for the UNT Alumni Association's inaugural 10 Under 10 Awards, a celebration of alumni who have graduated within the last 10 years and are already making an impact in their professions, organizations, and communities. Presented by the Alumni Association in partnership with the Gold Alumni Network, the awards recognize achievement, dedication, and commitment to excellence. Check the show notes for a link to reserve your spot by April 3rd for the April 17th awards ceremony. Tickets are $40 or $300 for a table of 8. And now for some athletics news, let's check in with Zach Babb for the Mean Green Minute.
After picking up a first-round bye, the women's basketball team for North Texas has cruised into the semifinals and set up a date with the Rice Owls on Friday at 6 p.m. Their second-round game featured a blowout win over Florida Atlantic, 80-57, and then a hard-fought victory over Tulsa in the quarterfinals, 76-73. Then a matchup against a Rice team that they lost to twice in the regular season, but both by very slim margins. Again, that's a 6 p.m. tip-off on Friday. Mean Green men's basketball is on to the quarterfinals of the men's tournament following a 74-70 win over Florida Atlantic on Thursday. They'll now take on Tulsa in the quarterfinal round at 2 p.m. on Friday.
Thanks for that update, Zach. Can't wait to see how both teams do for the rest of the tournament. Here's hoping we'll get to celebrate with 2 more banners to hang up in the Super Pit. Speaking of celebrations, UNT's annual Service Awards are coming up next week, celebrating faculty and staff members who have reached milestones of 5 to 45 years of service at UNT. This year, 463 recipients will be honored for a combined 5,930 years of service. In honor of the celebration, I caught up with the individual who hit that 45-year mark, Professor of Piano Adam Wodnicki. He invited me to his studio and told me what it was like to arrive in Denton in the fall of 1980, back when this was North Texas State University. We're talking today because you're celebrating 45 years of working at UNT. When did you first come to UNT? When did you start here?
Well, it's not quite. Yeah, if you subtract 45.
Yeah.
Well, it would come out 81. My first semester at UNT was in 1980, the fall semester.
Fall of 1980. That's a long time. Oh, what brought you to UNT?
Well, for this to answer, even not too lengthy way, I need to go back a little bit. I'm from Poland, and I was a student at Indiana University. And by pure chance, I was invited to teach as a visiting assistant professor to UT Austin. Mm. But since I needed, those were different times in Poland, in particular, in other countries in Eastern Europe. In order to be able to stay in the U.S., I needed what's called permanent position or a tenure track position. So I looked for a different job, and I happened to be one of the finalists and eventually the chosen person at UNT College of Music. So I came here, started in the fall of 1980.
Whether it was your first day or coming up for interviews and stuff, what were some of your first impressions of campus when you came to UNT?
Well, I came a couple of times here before that for interviews, and then also eventually to look for an apartment. Of course, it was a huge campus and a huge building from the music school, even though UT Austin has many big buildings at the time I was there. The music department was in a small, very nice building with wonderful small concert hall. And then later, the bigger building over there was built. But this was the first impression. Large building, large student body.
Yeah. I know, UNT is pretty well known as a music school. Were you pretty aware of the reputation when you first learned about the opportunity?
Some.
Yeah.
Not as much as, of course, I very quickly found out.
Yeah.
Just, considering my background, I slowly learned a lot about music and music education in the United States altogether, and particularly UNT.
Yeah. So 45 years, obviously a lot has changed, new buildings, campus has grown. What sticks out to you kind of as like the biggest way UNT has changed in your time here?
Actually, you asked me that question before we started the interview, and I know and I'm aware that UNT has changed a lot, and that there have been many, many buildings built or rebuilt like University Union. But in my area, or even in the College of Music area, I don't think that much has changed as far as the buildings. A lot of things have changed along the way. We have had a lot of different faculty come and go, join and retire. A lot of equipment. I'm more familiar, of course, with my area. So as you see, we are sitting in my studio that I have two relatively new Steinway grand pianos, which are wonderful. It was not so when I came. It was not bad. There was one grand piano and one upright. Okay. But then eventually, little by little, the college was able to buy equipment for all the piano studios. So as far as I know, all the piano studios have two grand pianos, which is really great and the proper setting for teaching applied piano or individual lessons.
Yeah. So with the two side by side, will you be at one and the student at the other, and you're demonstrating things? Yes.
On occasion, a student would come over to look at something in detail, or I might come over to the student. But generally, yes, that's what we do. Something that is really a trivial comment is that before COVID, I would sit on that piano, which is behind you. And then with COVID, it changed. And now I sit here further from the student. Of course, now I could change it, but I like that piano much more.
Very nice. You mentioned you feel like the department hasn't changed that much. Is there anything else that you feel like has kind of stayed true at UNT through 45 years?
Well, absolutely. I mean, it was something unusual and awesome for me to discover how large the school was. And I remember from my early days the number that I was told that there were 100 saxophone students. It's just a striking thing to say. I have no idea if there are still 100 students studying saxophone. But so another aspect of a college like this, of this size, is that you can hear anything. You can hear a harp recital.
Yeah.
You can hear a saxophone or tuba recital. That is great opportunity for everybody.
Yeah.
And of course, another thing that I very quickly discovered was how wonderful faculty was here. No matter how many of them are by now retired, they were really very welcoming, and I very quickly began collaborating with many performers on different instruments, also performing works by the composers who were professors at UNT. So this was really an environment that to this day I find extremely stimulating.
Yeah. We talked about earlier before we got set up that you've been playing since you were 4 years old. At what point do you think it kind of set in with you that you might want to teach?
I know that maybe in some places in the world there is this dichotomy between teaching and performing, and all the adage is, if you can, you do. If you can't, you teach.
Yeah.
But that is not the atmosphere where I grew up in Poland and in other countries in Europe, where people who are among the top performing artists also are associated with various music schools or music academies. So to me, when I finished my master's degree because that was the highest degree at that time, in Krakow in Poland, it was normal that I would at the same time continue or begin teaching first as an assistant to my professor, and then through various exams and so on to achieve an independent rank.
Mm-hmm. Was there a point over 45 years is a long time.
Yes.
When you first got this job in 1980, did you imagine yourself staying here for this long, or was there a point where you thought, okay, I'm locked in here, I really love it here, I want to stay here forever?
Well, I mean, yes to both, because I think those were two questions. Of course, at first, and I was a lot younger, right? If you subtract 45 or 46 years from when I came here, well, this was just such a different stage of my life, both professionally and personally. And as years begin to go by, I didn't have to think very much. I had great students from the very beginning. I inherited very good students from a pianist who was here, Stefan Bardas, and who retired, and that was the position that opened. I was able to do a reasonable amount of travel to perform in various places, which of course carries with it some absence from classes, but that is normal for university professors. And I felt that the location with the big international airport right next door, it was really wonderful. And so for various reasons, I just never really felt any need to look around for other jobs.
Yeah.
And a decade followed decade, and here I am.
Yeah. You mentioned the environment still being stimulating for you. What keeps you excited to keep doing this every day?
I guess the first and probably most common answer would be the students. I've over these years, I've had students from all over the world. The proportions of various nationalities would change every few years. We used to have, I'm speaking also about the department, we used to have many students from Taiwan, then many students from Korea, now many students from China, and occasional students from various countries in Europe. So this would be the main aspect that really keeps things interesting.
Yeah.
You have a certain number of individuals, even though they are supposed to fit into the academic mold, they are individuals studying the music, the so-called classical music. Then there are colleagues. They changed, although there haven't been that many changes in the keyboard. Well, there have been some.
Yeah.
But I mentioned that before, how the faculty was very welcoming to me, and how I worked with many of the colleagues playing different instruments. So that's the other aspect, other than students. It's a great faculty.
Yeah. This might be hard to narrow down with 45 years to go through, but what's some of your best UNT memories?
I don't know specifically. UNT memories, of course. I would have memories from various stages in my life. I have 4 grandchildren now.
Yeah.
So I would have to say that all my years, I'm not saying that there have never been any little glitches, but all my years in UNT have been really great.
Yeah.
And I always, whenever I think about it, I feel myself very lucky that I happened to come here and then adapt to life with UNT and enjoy it.
Yeah. Do any memories stick out as particularly rewarding? Whether it's, I imagine there's a lot of rewarding moments when you're working with students and you kind of see things start to click. Does anything stand out for you?
Well, it's hard to tell because there are different kinds of rewards. The best reward is if you think that the student is almost as good as you are, or you hope that they might be better. Of course, something that looks good on paper is if a student does well in a competition, and there are different levels of competitions. And I had a very rewarding moment that I totally did not expect. This was 5 days ago. I played with our symphony orchestra in the Murchison. I played the Beethoven Third Concerto. And I don't know how many students, but many students of mine, and a couple of former students who live in the area, they just crowded the stage, and I got so many flowers, so many bouquets, that the conductor, Dr. Couturier, who is a wonderful conductor, had to help me carrying them off the stage. Yeah. And this was really quite touching, I have to say.
Yeah, it's beautiful. So that might answer my next question. I was going to ask about best performance memories. You mentioned being able to travel to perform. You've performed all over the world. Besides that super emotional moment that you had last week, anything else stand out for you?
Well, it's hard to tell because there have been quite a few.
Yeah.
So I would have to really prioritize, which I'm not particularly crazy to do. Yes, there were different moments in different countries. I might mention that the Brahms's Concerto Number 2, the piano concerto Number 2, holds special memories for me because it's connected with my relation with my, at that time, future wife. Mm. And when I started going back to Poland with concerts, when I played that concerto with the Krakow Philharmonic, after maybe 25 years of having played it the first time, that, of course, I felt was a very, very emotional, particular moment, both because of the personal connection and also being in the city. It's not my hometown, but that's where I went to the music academy, and I had made many friends and colleagues who were in the audience. Yeah. So maybe that would be something that I would choose. Yeah.
This is another one that might be hard to kind of distill down to one answer, but at 45 years, what does UNT mean to you?
Well, I can't say that it means everything, but it means a lot. Mm. We've already touched on various aspects of this. I mean, this is what I do. This is what my heart is in. Being in contact with young people who try to become musicians, educators, make their way in the profession, that is very special. And also having that opportunity to perform in front of them, that led to this very touching moment a few days ago. So this community that exists here with the students, that music community is absolutely wonderful. Yeah. There are other aspects, of course, as anybody might have, a personal family aspect. I mentioned my grandchildren already, and other professional activities I've been doing for several years now for a publishing house in Poland. I've been doing editing of Polish piano music. So for now, there are close to 40 publications that one can find on my website.
Very nice. All right, we like to end our interviews. Can we get a Go Mean Green?
Okay, I can say Go Mean Green.
So grateful to Adam for welcoming me into his studio for that interview. Congratulations again to him and to all of our faculty and staff members celebrating milestone anniversaries next week. Remember, you can let us know what you think about the show by emailing podcast@unt.edu or calling 940-565-4341. Help us grow by telling a friend about the show, sharing it on social media, or leaving us a 5-star rating and review wherever you listen. Until next time, we hope you have a happy Friday, North Texas, and go Mean Green. Happy Friday, North Texas is a production of the University of North Texas. Today's show was produced and edited by Scott Brown with original reporting by Scott Brown. For more information, visit unt.edu/podcast.